I've seen buyers fall in love with Squirrel Hill and they quietly move out 2 years later. Not because it's a bad neighborhood, but because they didn't fully understand what living here actually feels like day to day. If you're thinking about moving to Pittsburgh, especially if Squirrel Hill is on your list, this is something that you need to hear before you decide. Hey everyone, I'm Diane McConaghy. I'm a local Pittsburgh realtor, and for over 12 years, I've helped nearly 800 buyers and sellers, many of them relocating here from out of state. And here's what experience has taught me. Squirrel Hill isn't just a nice neighborhood. It's a very specific way of living. When it fits your lifestyle, people stay for decades. When it doesn't, the reasons usually come as a surprise. So today, I want you to walk through what no one tells you about Squirrel Hill in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so that you can decide whether it truly fits the life that you're hoping to build here. As soon as you start spending time in Squirrel Hill, one thing becomes clear. It doesn't feel like a typical Pittsburgh neighborhood. It feels like a small city tucked inside the city. And there's a reason for that. If you live here, your daily life is centered around Forbes Avenue and Murray Avenue. These two streets function as the neighborhood's main commercial corridors, where most of the shopping, dining, and everyday services are concentrated. That layout shapes how you move through your day. In practical terms, that means that you can walk out your front door, head to dinner, grab a coffee, pick up groceries, stop at the pharmacy, or run everyday errands without it turning into a whole production. That kind of walkability matters, especially if you're coming from somewhere where you had to drive for everything. Compared to many Pittsburgh neighborhoods, Squirrel Hill consistently ranks as one of the most pedestrian-friendly areas in the city. If you live near the core, most of your daily errands can realistically be done on foot. So if you're looking for convenience, independence, and a neighborhood that feels active and connected, this is often where Squirrel Hill starts to win people over. And this is also the point where some buyers begin to realize that this convenience comes with trade-offs that they didn't fully expect. Because Squirrel Hill is so walkable and so self-contained, it also gets busy, and that can catch you off guard if you're expecting nothing but quiet charm. If you're living here, especially near Forbes or Murray, you'll notice the traffic can slow down during peak commuting hours. These streets are community hubs, which means that pedestrians, buses, deliveries, and cars are all sharing the same space. Parking exists, but during the busiest parts of the day, it can feel tight. So if you're commuting out of the neighborhood every day, particularly towards downtown Pittsburgh or across the city, you'll feel that friction. A short distance on a map doesn't always translate to a quick trip in real life, especially when school dropping off times, pedestrian crossings, and bus routes all affect traffic flow. But here's the part that really matters when you're deciding if this is the right fit for you. If what you want is a neighborhood where people are out walking, where local businesses are thriving, where you can grab a cup of coffee, meet a friend, or pick up dinner without needing to drive, then this busyness is actually part of the appeal. So yes, you may trade a bit of commuting convenience, but in return, you gain a level of everyday activity, energy, and connection that many Pittsburgh neighborhoods simply don't offer. And once you start imagining yourself living here, this is where you really want to slow down and reset expectations. Because if you're considering a move to Squirrel Hill, the homes are going to feel different from what you might be used to, especially if you're coming from a newer suburb or a recently built community. This is a long-established neighborhood. Most of Squirrel Hill's development took place in the early 20th century, particularly through the 1920s and 1930s, which is why you see so many older homes and relatively little new construction today. As you tour properties, you'll likely be drawn to the brick colonials, Tudors, and classic Pittsburgh architecture. These homes feel solid, they feel permanent, they have a character that's hard to replicate. That's the upside. But this is usually the moment that buyers pause and start asking questions, because older homes often come with older systems. In Squirrel Hill, it's reasonable to expect things like radiator heat in some homes, older electrical systems depending on the updates, fewer bathrooms than newer builds, smaller closets, and layouts that reflect the era that they were built in. And this is usually when buyers say something like, "Is this normal for this area?" And the answer is yes. Pittsburgh as a whole has an older housing stock and a recent Redfin analysis showed that the median home purchased in this area is roughly 68 years old. So what you're seeing here isn't unusual, it's just more concentrated. I've worked with buyers who absolutely loved a home in Squirrel Hill and then during the inspection realized they needed to rethink the renovation budget or adjust what was truly a priority for them. But here's the flip side, which matters if you're the right kind of buyer. If what you want is character, mature trees, and a neighborhood that already feels established, this housing stock is exactly the point. And when you come in with realistic expectations, a thorough inspection, and a clear plan for updates over time, these homes can be incredibly rewarding places to live. And once you understand the homes themselves, the next thing most people want to know is whether the price actually makes sense for what you're getting. And this is actually why I always tell you not to choose a neighborhood based on photos alone. It's easy to fall in love with how a place looks online without fully understanding how it actually lives day to day. And Squirrel Hill is one of those neighborhoods where the details really matter. So if you're thinking about moving to Squirrel Hill or anywhere in the Pittsburgh area, I've put together a relocation guide that walks you through neighborhoods like Squirrel Hill in real-world terms. The things buyers often tell me that they wish they had known before they bought or rented. You can download the guide in the description below or scan the QR code right here. In the next section, we're going to talk about numbers, and that's where expectations really start to come into focus. And this is where the numbers really help bring everything into focus. If you're considering Squirrel Hill, you should know up front that pricing here sits well above the overall Pittsburgh average. That's not a surprise once you understand the location, but it's something that you want to plan for early. In Squirrel Hill, the northern section, which is closer to major parks and the core commercial areas, the average home values are around $775,000 based on current housing index data. This is the section where buyers most often say, I didn't expect it to be this much. The southern part of Squirrel Hill tends to be more approachable, though still premium by Pittsburgh standards, with typical home values closer to the $450,000 range. To put that into perspective, the citywide average home value in Pittsburgh sits closer to the low 200s. So yes, Squirrel Hill is priced well above the city average, especially in the northern section. This is usually the point where buyers ask, am I overpaying? And that's the right question to ask, because when you buy here, you're not just paying for the house itself. You're paying for walkability, access to Frick and Shenley parks, proximity to Oakland and downtown, and a neighborhood that remains consistently in demand. Because of that, inventory here tends to stay limited, and homes that are priced correctly often still sell even when the broader market slows. That doesn't mean prices only go up, but it does mean that this area has historically held value better than many others. And once you understand the pricing, the next question most people ask is whether the day-to-day lifestyle actually matches the cost. If you're considering Squirrel Hill, it helps to know that this is one of Pittsburgh's most culturally significant neighborhoods. Day to day, life here tends to feel active and connected, and a big part of that comes from access to green space. If you live in Squirrel Hill, you're bordered by two of Pittsburgh's most important parks. Frick Park, which covers more than 600 acres, is the city's largest regional park and runs along the edge of the neighborhood. Just on the other side, Shenley Park, it adds several hundred more acres of trails, open space, and recreational areas. For many residents, these parks don't feel like special destinations. They feel like part of everyday life. When it comes to work, Squirrel Hill itself is primarily residential, but supported by strong local retail and service businesses. Many people who live here commute to nearby employment centers such as Oakland and downtown Pittsburgh, particularly for healthcare, education, research, technology, and corporate roles. The neighborhood's proximity to these job hubs is one of the reasons why it remains so desirable. Public transportation plays a real role in daily life here. Pittsburgh regional transit bus routes, including the 61 series, connect Squirrel Hill directly through Oakland and into downtown, and many residents rely on transit regularly. That said, most households still keep a car, especially if work, school, or family routines extend beyond the East End. Traffic is manageable by city standards, but it is real. Morning and evening rush hours are part of daily life, particularly if you're commuting out of the neighborhood. And once you put all of that together, the real question becomes whether Squirrel Hill truly fits the way that you want to live every single day. And if you've been asking yourself whether Squirrel Hill truly fits the way that you want to live every single day, here's my my honest takeaway. People who love Squirrel Hill usually love it deeply. If you value walkability, easy access to parks, a strong sense of community, and a neighborhood where daily life feels active and connected, this place can feel like home very quickly. On the other hand, if what you really want is more space, easier driving, newer homes, or quieter streets, this neighborhood can start to feel like a compromise more than you expected. Squirrel Hill is not a one-size-fits-all neighborhood. It's a lifestyle choice. And when that lifestyle matches what you want day to day, it fits beautifully. And if you're still weighing whether this is the right fit for you, the next step is knowing exactly how to move forward with confidence. If you're thinking about relocating to Pittsburgh and you're trying to figure out whether Squirrel Hill or another neighborhood truly fits your lifestyle, your budget, and your daily routine, the best next step is to download my relocation guide below. Put it together specifically for people who are moving here, especially from out of state, and want a clear, realistic picture of what living in Pittsburgh actually looks like before making a big decision. And if you're relocating from out of state and want a local perspective to help you narrow things down, feel free to reach out. This is exactly who I work with every single day, and I'm always happy to help you think through your options. If you're still narrowing things down, your next video should be the best and worst neighborhoods in Pittsburgh. That one will give you a broader view of the city and help you compare areas side by side so that you can start narrowing in on what really fits you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.